this episode of Viral Rewind, we're looking at the ADT DOS virus. Now, this has nothing to do with that company called ADT that does security, but it's just interesting that the virus happens to be called ADT, and that comes from one of its payloads. Anyway, we've got ADT showing in a DOS directory there. That's 7,575 bytes in size. When we run ADT, this obviously came out of a repository, so it has a little self-checker program put with the virus when it installs, and it verifies from the self-test that it is active in memory. So it is a terminate stay resident TSR virus, hooking interrupt 21H, and it will infect .exe files as we run them. So let's go back to the DOS directory of Windows, because with Windows 95 and up, the DOS system is in the Windows command directory. And the thing about ADT is that not only does it infect files as you run them, but it will also search out the first uninfected or .exes as you also run programs. So technically it infects files 2 to 3 times per instance instead of just once every time you run something. So for instance, let's see, let's run xcopy. Let's look at xcopy first. There's its size. Let's run it. And we see that the size of xcopy has grown. So anyway, that's how it infects files. So let's look at the 2 payloads that ADT has. So the first one is a date-based one, and that happens anytime it is the 19th of any month, regardless of the year. And what it will do is it will hook in, I believe it's interrupt 9, which is the keyboard input, because we're going to see some interesting changes on the screen here. So let's rerun one of these infected files with ADT and see if it comes up. It may not. I may have to restart the computer and reload ADT on the date. Let's see if I can do it this way. Nope. We're going to have to restart and load ADT that way. So we're getting back into DOS here, and I'm going to assume that ADT has infected. So we're going to verify that the date is the 19th, and I'm going to just run mem.exe right off the bat here. And if I start typing something, ooh, we get this little thing, and you see it has Andreas being printed out all the time next to the text cursor. And I believe it follows us wherever we go, because if we go and edit, you get Andreas being shown up there too. It doesn't put Andreas there, it just follows the cursor around. And you see it's even putting Andreas over top the menu options. A little funny. It's like, yes, Andreas. No, Andreas. Cancel Andreas. No. So yeah, that is one of the payloads right off the bat, is when ADT is loaded up on the 19th of any month, we get this little Andreas thing from interrupt 9. So the other payload is a little more involved, and that's if we try to debug any of the programs infected by ADT. So we know mem is infected. There we go. And so this is the other payload that ADT gives, and this is where its name comes from, because when you try to debug one of these programs that has ADT's code in it, you get this printout of ADT with an exclamation mark, and it hangs up the system. So all the keyboard input is disabled, you can't do anything with it here. So anytime you try to debug a program to look into the ADT virus, it will just display this instead and hang up the keyboard from being able to do anything else. In fact, I believe, yeah, Control-Alt-Delete won't work either. You have to power cycle or hard reset the computer. So that's pretty much it for the ADT DOS virus. So get that prompt. And we'll just load up xcopy. If I spell it right. And ooh, what the heck's going on here? That's not expected. It's not supposed to do that. Well, that's a bummer.